So welcome everybody. We are in our data and tech panel, and it's such an honor to have these gentlemen here with me. So we have Ethan, Sales and Partnership Manager of Evolt, Harry, Co-founder CEO of Viva Leisure, Hugo, Co-founder and CEO of Virtuagym, Mike, APAC Director of Myzone, and Ronnie, COO of Orangetheory Fitness China. So later on, these gentlemen would have 1 minute each to introduce themselves. So my role here is to facilitate this discussion so that we will have a very fruitful 55 minutes of Q&A and also insights sharing by these amazing leaders. These sessions will be recorded. So if any time, you want to rewatch or you miss out certain sessions, don't worry about it. You can find them in our post-event download page. And remember to write any questions you have in the group chat. We will kind of like bring them up in the discussion as well. So without further ado, let me start off our first panelist. Mike, you're at the top of my screen. So you have 1 minute to introduce yourself. And here you go. Here's the mic.
Thanks, Jolin. So Mike Beeney, Director of Myzone for Asia Pacific, based out of Australia. Myzone is a wearable technology and digital platform built for the commercial fitness operator. So we offer a turnkey solution. Company's been operating for nearly 10 years now, and it consists of wearable device, in-club software, group heart rate, video programming, and then club-branded app with a social platform. So essentially, it's a platform that allows the clubs to connect to members wherever they train and gamify their workouts for engagement and retention. So as a business, we operate with over 7,000 clubs, anything from a small boutique, 24-hour to big box. And earlier this year, we added a new Asia division to the global group with a new team based out of Singapore.
Awesome, sounds good. All right, next on the list on my panel is Ethan. So Ethan, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, so I'm Ethan with Evolt 360, Sales and Partnership Manager for North America. Our office is in Charleston, South Carolina here in the US, with our headquarters being in the Gold Coast, Australia. Evolt is a cutting-edge body composition analyzing company with a really robust tech platform and turnkey software that connects all the dots between the customer, the business owner, and the coach, and providing them that important data for tracking their health metrics.
Amazing. Passing on the baton to Hugo.
Yes, thanks, Jolin. Hi, everybody. My name is Hugo, co-founder and CEO of Virtuagym. And we are a virtual training and online coaching solution, build mobile apps for health clubs and studios, basically allowing you to prescribe exercise for people either in the gym or at home. It has a virtual trainer component, streaming workout videos, nutrition solution, community tools, challenges. So basically a complete solution for coaching and engagement. And we've been doing that for over 10 years now. Our company has over 7,500 clients worldwide, primarily Europe and the US at this point. Yeah, we have 2 offices in Amsterdam and Medellin in Colombia. Yeah, that's in my free time. I like to work out, also run with my dog Charlie, and I'm calling in from Amsterdam, a gray and rainy Amsterdam. So.
Amsterdam is always good. Thank you, Hugo. So next up we have Harry.
Hi everyone. I'm calling in from Australia today. I'm the founder, CEO and Managing Director of Viva Leisure Limited. Our brands include Club Lime, Hit Republic, Cycle Life, Fit and Fast and Plus Fitness. In June 2019, we became the first health club group to list on the Australian Stock Exchange under an IPO. We're still the only health club group listed on the stock exchange in Australia. We operate in what we call all 4 segments of the market. So boutique, express, standard and big box. And we have clubs in all those different sizes and brands in all those different sizes where members can roam between. We've grown from 29 locations about 16 months ago to 85 locations today. We've got another 25 on the go at the moment. And we also own the Plus Fitness Master franchise with circa 200 locations in Australia, New Zealand, and India. So about 300 clubs in our group, combination of corporate owned and franchised. Direct and indirect members, about 300,000 members in the group. And our offerings are designed to operate in all different price segments from budget up to premium. And during COVID, we've continued to roll out our clubs, which has been good because of the strong emphasis on health, and we see the recovery being strong. So that's us.
Thank you, Harry. Last but not least, we have Ronnie.
Hey guys, thank you for welcoming me to the panel. It's a great panel we have here. I'm Ronnie. So basically I'm basing off in Shanghai. So I'm the managing partner and CEO of Orangetheory China. Obviously, Orangetheory, we have over 1,400 locations globally in over 20 countries. Here in China, we got 3 locations, and within this year, we finally got the master franchise right, and also the franchise license for China. And one of our goals here is to start really growing the Orangetheory business here in China, mostly in tier 1, tier 2 cities, with the next 3 to 5 year expansion plan. So far, I think COVID has, China has been the first country really went into COVID, and the first country has gone out. So the current situation in China has been pretty much back to normal. In Orangetheory, our performance has been better than pre-COVID time. So I think that showcase a very good, a light at the end of the tunnel. So it's gonna be pretty exciting time.
Thank you, Ronnie. So encouraging for the rest of us. This is really a very international crowd. I love it. We have a lot of diverse backgrounds here. So I'm just going to kickstart our first question. How is your company building out its current technology offerings and capabilities? So this question is open to all panelists. So I would just kickstart with Mike.
Yeah, thanks. I guess 2020, whatever product development anyone had, of course, everything changed. So our focus this year was on those features that were going to support the operators during the restrictions and the lockdowns. So as the industry moved to online streaming, we created and released a new feature called NZ Remote, which is a virtual class feature. And essentially that allows trainers to deliver live video streaming via the existing Myzone app and live group heart rate. So in essence, taking the concept of their in-club delivery and now delivering that kind of remotely. We did some other aspects around our chat social platform, because of course, while we're socially distanced, we found that trainers and clubs needed to stay connected with members. So a lot of work around trying to enhance that section. And I guess for the rest of this year, we've got some major releases planned in about a month's time, a new patented product that we'll be launching. And we'd have loved to have it ready, of course, for the Fit Summit, but we're not quite ready to announce yet. So some big news in the next month, and some key integrations with some other partners we've also got. So plenty of stuff in the pipeline for the rest of 2020.
Thanks, Mike. Look forward to that, the new product launch. All right, next up, I will get Ethan. What are some updates on your company?
Yeah, so we've deployed several features to provide a holistic solution in the body composition space. So maximizing the data being collected to benefit the coach, such as pointing out key indicators that could lead to the loss of the client, as well as highlighting other sales opportunities. So we also supply a baseline nutritional guidance individualized to the client's scan and supplement recommendations, again, generating yet another revenue opportunity for our clients and a way to get people back in front of them physically.
Awesome. I think I do see an Evolt scan available in a gym nearby, so I might go get it.
Yeah. Go do it.
All right, Hugo, do you want to tell us more about what your company is doing at this moment?
Yeah, sure. I think for us as a company, I mean, we've been building mobile apps for digital coaching for over 10 years. So I think we were, as a company already, quite well suited to deal with the whole pandemic if you can be prepared in a way. But we did kind of really focus on improving that experience by adding live streaming capabilities into our system. At the same time, also upon the reopening of the clubs, we added integration with our booking system, a COVID-19 symptom check, so that people can book their session, indicate whether or not they have any issues like the coughing, etc. And that's linked to access control. And then at the same time, a real life dashboard for the business owner to see how many members are in the facility at any given point in time, because in many areas that was restricted, that you could have like maximum of 50 people or so inside. And finally, what we did is, because we saw the opportunity there and also the need for a good real online experience, and obviously many businesses were already struggling in this time, is that we basically developed a full kind of Netflix or fitness type of experience with 1,000 streaming workout videos, challenges that we ran, audio meditation, virtual work, so all in one solution that gyms could basically offer to the members in exchange for a membership fee, so they basically could keep the revenue going during these difficult times.
Thanks, Hugo. So next up we have Harry.
So just stepping back, obviously we're a health club owner, so different to Evolt and the others on the panel. But my background is in IT, it's not in fitness. So we've always been developing our IT systems. It's in constant development for us. Our IT systems are designed to manage the whole business from a head office perspective, not from a club perspective. So over the last couple of months, we've been expanding on those facilities from the perspective of what our area managers and our club managers need to look at. But we've also moved heavily into our app development in terms of access control. So what that means for our members, we try and create on new members a frictionless joining experience where members can join, download our app and visit the club instantly. There's no human involvement required. So, if you want to join at 9 p.m. on a Sunday night, by 9:15 you're in the club doing a workout. You don't have to go and visit or do anything. It's all streamlined into that process. We've improved the systems for our office, which pushes out alerts that they need to monitor to area managers and senior management, so we can continue to grow significantly. We grew by 40 corporate-owned sites last year, and the way to do that is by having access to the right information at the right time. And like Hugo said, we've done things where our members can actually see on the app how busy a club is live before they head out there. So if there's 2 or 3 clubs in their immediate reach, they can pick which club to go to just by looking at the app. Or if the club is full, they know that before going out there. And that's live data that we've always had accessible for us as management, but now available to them. And we've done the pivot, so to speak, to at-home classes and online streaming, which were already in progress, but we accelerated. So that's where we've been focusing our technology over the last couple of months.
Perfect. I would circle around later to ask about what you meant by the right data at the right time. We want to know what kind of data we want to get. So from another operator's point of view, Ronnie, would you like to share your company updates?
Yeah. So obviously, Orangetheory has been always been heavily focused in terms of technology. Obviously, it's known for the technology track and science-backed workout. So basically, with our heart rate monitors and the data that all the customers, every time when we finish a workout, we can be tracked. So everybody can see their progressions, right? So I think obviously in China it's slightly a bit different because our situation here is past the COVID time. So what we are actually more focused into is, number one is the technology for internal, so the company staff use, and the other one is for member use, right? So for example, all the CRM system that we have built, we have Orange Book. So basically really tracking about all the productivity that the employee are using, how they utilize the data to come up with strategy. I think that's very, very important. So the second part here is continue to make sure that our mini apps, our system online, all the booking systems has to be very Because obviously in China here, a lot of the technology that's been used are slightly more different than obviously the Western country. We have a WeChat app, like all that sort of stuff. So we have to really incorporate and localize all the technology to China based, so all the consumer here can easily access, and most important for a company, we can track the data to make business decisions. And obviously, we're working very closely with our corporate office in the US, and they have been, been very supportive. And especially during the COVID time, as a global scale, we start developing a lot of online programs, which is in the making right now. Online platform, online classes, and so we're looking excited to see how that going to be start launching in China in the coming months.
Perfect. Thanks, Ronnie. I do see questions in the audience. So those who have just joined us, welcome to the Data and Tech panel. We have started on our first question, asking about updates on any capabilities for technology and various kinds of company updates in these few months. So if you have any questions, do type into the group chat. Also introduce yourself, tell us where you're from. So we would really like to know that. All right, so for the second question on, what kind of data points are we going to be tracking? And also from your analysis and trends, what have you noticed so far in 2020? So what data points are you currently tracking? And from these analyses and trends, what have you noticed so far in 2020? So I would like to ask Harry first, since just now you mentioned about different data, good data, good timing. So what can you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, okay. So we track the basics like visitations. I mean, that's a very important one for us because obviously it doesn't matter how good your facilities are, if people aren't visiting, there are cancellation risks. So we monitor visitations. That's a simple one that everyone monitors. We monitor cross visitation. So if you're a member of one club as your home club and visit another club, we monitor age and how clubs are trending towards age. And male-female demographics. So they're the real basic ones because we know that if a club is trending very much towards a male-dominated club, then we need to put more heavier weights in. If it's a female-dominated club, we might put more lighter weights in or more classes. So we look at that because clubs can often move between one way or the other, normally 45, 55. But then we look at more advanced things like where members actually live that are coming to the club. How long are they traveling to get to the club? Are they driving past another club to get to us? If they're not driving past another club to get to us, but they're driving a distance, we need to put a club in that area because if someone else does, then they'll stop coming to our club. We look at what parts of the business are growing. Are more people going to the smaller clubs, the bigger clubs, the boutiques? Are they doing more wellness classes like yoga? And then that tells us whether we need to put a boutique or something inside the club. So we don't normally change clubs around in that scenario and go, okay, we'll pull out these weights and put a yoga room in. What we do under our business model is we build a yoga studio external, for example, to the clubs, but in close proximity. And we're looking at doing things like tracking members' movements within the clubs. So, if they've checked in with their mobile phone, we'll be able to track them and see, well, they're spending all their time in the free weights area, or they're going from cardio to free weights to a group class. And that's valuable data so we can see how people move. Because one thing is to know that they're actually in the club, but what are they doing in the club? That's the most important thing. Now, if it's in one of our studios, that's easy because they're a participant in the class. We know what they're doing. But if they're visiting a big box club or something, they could be anywhere, in a 2,000 square meter premises. So we capture a lot of data and we mine that data either live or later down the track when we think of something we need to do. In terms of trends, what we're seeing is visitations for us are much higher now per member than they were pre-COVID. So that's a really interesting one. We haven't quite recovered, very, very close to 100% of our members back from COVID. But visitations on the lower membership base is actually higher now than they were pre-COVID. And we're seeing our net member movement in our boutiques is much higher than our health clubs. So in our Hit Republic, which is a functional studio, it's much larger. So people are going for a harder workout. And we're seeing a lot of influx of members that have never been members for us. So one of the data points we capture is if they were a member of us previously, they don't set up a new profile. So we don't have 10 profiles of, John Smith member. We have one of that. So we know, he was a member for 1 year, went away for 2 years, came back for 3 years. We know all that. So, but what we're seeing now is an influx of members that haven't been with us. So there's 3 interesting trends that we're seeing at the moment.
Thank you, Henry. I think those are really great insights on what kind of data points to collect and the analysis of them. Would like to hear from Hugo, who runs the Virtuagym. So from a digital platform perspective, what kind of data do you collect and what kind of insights and trends do you see from them this year?
Yeah, so our business, our technology, basically 2 main components that we offer. On the one side, we have a management component all around the booking, membership and billing, access control, etc. And then we have our coaching and white label mobile app technology. So on the billing side, it was actually interesting to see. We did a study on all our European clients that last month our customers were basically back at 88% of the revenue. So we're still looking at Deloitte is kind of publishing a report on this as well. It seems that our customers tend to be a bit higher. The question is, of course, is it because of our technology or because they are a bit more front running in the market using technology to support the business? So I think that was very interesting data that basically the revenue, it went down significantly to 40% at the heat of COVID, now bounced back to 88, so strong recovery.
Yeah.
And then on the coaching side, we track a ton of data, what people are eating. We have over 300 body metrics in the system around the body composition through integrations with Tanita or InBody, but also all the training. So there's over 6,000 activities that people can track in the system, etc., etc. So this and I think if you're looking at trends around that. Well, first of all, we saw kind of uses of the app increase a lot over the course of the lockdowns and also upon reopening. So upon reopening, we saw an increase of 300% compared to just before COVID. And the load on our system, with us, January is always a peak load. Everybody goes to the gym again. So basically our load goes up, it kind of doubles. But last month, the load on our system was twice as much as last of January. So usage has gone up significantly. We saw that the amount of bookings go up 400%. And this is because our customers are using the booking platform, as I mentioned, for making available the spots in the gym. And yeah, if we're talking about trends, I think a lot of systems are tracking data. I think the trends now coming are really about doing smart things with data. So one of the features that we are releasing now is also a churn prediction module, basically. So we're using all those data points, not just like visits, of course, bookings, but also the uses of the app. So whether or not people are engaged with your brand, with the gym, because they don't have to go into the facility to still use it for measuring their body weight at home on a scale, etc., doing home workouts. So we use all that data points to basically measure kind of the chance of somebody churning, and then basically dividing members in high risk, medium, and low risk of churning, and allowing gyms to kind of then basically use that, the power of that data to make better business decisions.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, you sort of helped me. You're leading into the next question, which is, are we actually guilty of not transforming all these amazing data into actionable intelligence? If it is, then where do we often fall short, and how can we improve? So I would like to bounce this question off to Ethan. So similarly, you do a lot of tracking. So are we actually using it to create more, actionable intelligence and updates? If we are not, how do we fall short, and what do you think we can do to improve?
Yeah, so Evolt's obviously collecting data on a few different levels. Obviously, the body composition data, as well as some fitness information, and then at a facility level as well on those trends. But I mean, yes, I mean, paralysis by analysis is the name of the game for the vast majority of places. So just because you can assess everything possible doesn't mean it has any impact on the actual training of an athlete or the average gym goer. Therefore, mountains of data need to be condensed, and assessments that have no actionable bearing on the actual performance or health of an athlete or client that are being performed for just the sake of being performed need to be tossed to the wayside. So, for example, you could even go as far as looking at what percentage of your male members say they prefer HIIT or weight training or cardio or a combination of this, that, and the other, which could then dictate the naming of classes and programs you're initiating. And you get very detailed with that specific as what your customer actually wants, what they're saying that they do, and then making your programming and offerings more specific to the actual customer that is in your building.
Yeah, really great. I think I would also want to hear, Mike, what are some of your thoughts on transforming data into actionable intelligence? Are we doing it? If not, how can we improve?
Yeah, I do think our sector is guilty in many ways of not using the data. I guess there's three aspects to that. One is gathering the data initially. Two, as Ethan's referenced, it's then you've got to turn that into something that you can understand. And then lastly, you've got to kind of act on it. I think most facilities are already gathering a lot of data. So it's not about not having enough data in the business. The one area I'd say that is pretty critical though, and of course we're biased, but the third-party apps and wearables that members are using have so much critical information. Those apps know more about your member and their behavior than often the club does. And to Harry's point, looking at the two different aspects of data, we did a survey during COVID where we analysed our data, and although there was a blip initially when the clubs closed, actually the exercise levels, the benefit of course of wearable is you can track what people are doing whether the clubs are open or not. So exercise levels went back to near 90% pretty quickly, even though the clubs remained closed. But what was important is we looked at a sample of over 4 million workouts every month. And pre-COVID, 63% of workouts were being done in the club. In April, that's 3%. Of course, virtually every club was closed. But in September, that's back to 38%. So it's gone from 63 to 38. So what that tells us is there are still a lot of workouts being done. A lot more of them now are not within the club. So the relevance of that, and of course there are still some areas in lockdown, but the relevance of that is if all your recordings, the data you can measure in the club, such as attendance, you're actually missing out on so much kind of critical information about the member and their behavior. So it's getting that access. But the hardest part is really then how you translate that into something that is actionable. A trend can give you, or the data you can look at historically can tell you about a trend. But the key where data becomes really powerful is in its prediction. So if you've got enough data to see what's going to happen and get in and intervene, whether that's because the members are going to leave because they're not visiting enough or not achieving their results, that's where it becomes really, really powerful. And finally, I think the failure is there when you've got that indication, you've got to act on it. And that means change. And for a lot of businesses, everything they knew pre-2020, they could fine tune their business, but now everything has changed. So the message really is, whatever data you've got within your business, now is the time to look at it, to understand what those new trends are, because you're going to have to adjust. And you've got to trust the data, and you've got to make that change rather than just see that trend out. And when it may be too late.
Thank you, Mike. Yes, indeed. We have emphasis on collecting data, but I think the most important question is, what do we see from it and what can we do with it? So I'm going to hop on to Ronnie. So from an operator point of view, you have data collection for the members, you also have data collection in terms of biometrics, perhaps even internal staff members. So what are your thoughts on, are we guilty if we're not, are we guilty in not transforming data into actionable intelligence? And if, let's say, we are, how can we improve?
Okay, I mean, that's a great question here. I mean, I can speak on behalf of the, let's say Orangetheory right now, okay? Because the first thing, I think every business have a different objective and different type of data that's required for the individual business needs. You know, I think for us, you know, there's only two main key areas of data that we're looking at. One is our member experience. So the data that analyze all the trends, you know, the visits, the renewal, the cancellation, the class attendance, you know, what type of membership mix that they will have, and also the promotional data, the promotional we've done, and that whether it's effective or not, right? So we can utilize that data to make business strategies. But I think one area, I think that, you know, most business, especially come down to the scale, that is boutique studios or small business where they don't have a sales team or a large operating team to run it, is that the productivity data. Now, what I mean by that is, like, for example, how many leads have you been generated in the day or in the month, okay? And how many appointments or trial that you have set to come into your club to trial your product, okay? And what are your sales ratios? You know, your appointment ratio, your show ratio, your closing ratios, right? So, and I think these are the data that what I have seen is maybe some of the big box that I usually work for, like Fitness First, you know, whether it's a Virgin Active or, you know, Wheels, you know, we are tracking those data very, very well, because that is more from the business angle where your team need to utilize to drive more sales and revenues, whether it's a PT or membership sales. So I think the big box does a pretty good job in that, but more towards the smaller boutiques, you know, where they don't have a sales team and they probably have a coach or a operation team that does membership sell online. So it's more like reactive rather than proactive, go and, you know, reach out, you know, potential customers. So I can say, you know, in Orangetheory, I think we does it pretty well in those end. But again, Ethan, I think made a very good point earlier, is that, you know, by analysis, right? So sometimes, you know, when we have any technologies and any data, it has to be very specific and relevant to your business. Sometimes too much information, it just gives you maybe wrong signals of what you need to focus on. So when we look at it, we only look at some specific sets of productivity by our, and then what type of data we need from our members, and we align them together, and then we drive the business according to that, you know. Rest of the stuff, you know, is only if we need to focus on that, then we're adding an ad hoc and obviously built into the system. Otherwise, you know, those are the two only things that we're really looking into.
Yeah, thank you, Ronnie. I think, yes, we definitely need to know the purpose of the data that we're taking, that we're tracking, and then also knowing how to put them all together, because we track different kinds of data. Same question, right? I'm gonna still ask another question to Ronnie. So as an operator, what do you do, or how do you consider when you select what tech platforms and software you plan to invest in? So what are some consideration factors when you are thinking, oh, I want to invest in a tech platform and software?
Okay, I mean, that's a great question here. One of the things is, you know, like when we look at different scale of business, you know, the first thing to look at is, you know, the budget, right? Is to build any system, it actually costs quite a bit of money, right? So you got to make sure you have a relative amount of funds, okay, that you have to build. And also the second thing you look at is, as your business grows, that's this system able to evolve and also grow with you, whether you're from 3 club or up to 1,000 club down the track, right? And the second part of that is, you know, you have to look at it, you know, do you want to go to a software company like Salesforce or Microsoft? Do they tailor-made and build a specific, you know, app or system for your brand? Because each company have a different type of logic that you're gonna build in, right? Now out there, you also have, you know, off-the-shelf, you know, obviously brands. You know, and we're using, you know, Mind and Body Online. It's a great platform, okay? And then they also have a functionality to build specification to your business needs, okay? And then you can use that. So I think you have to look at your number one, your budget, and look at what are the specifications that you need and the logic of your business need, and whether they're able to build that for you. Okay. So I'll say that's one of the fundamentals. Okay. And then lastly, I would say is at the end of the day, when we have a system, okay, it needs to be automated. There's a lot of automations rather than a lot of human input, and you have to be user friendly. Because I've used many other systems in the past where there's a lot of human error and becomes very, very sophisticated. And when you become doing that, when it's training your team to using all this system, and they were bound to have a lot of human error in place, and then become instead of being a very efficient system, it become an ineffective system. So I think all system has to be easy to use, easy to understand, and easy to teach, especially when you're going to scale the business.
Perfect. Thank you, Ronnie. Great insights. I would also love to hear from Harry. As multiple clubs, multiple locations, do you use the same tech platforms? Is the consideration unified in the company, or it depends on which operators actually adopting them?
Yeah, so we're lucky enough that we will always build rather than buy, so it's very customized. Not obviously everyone has that ability, as Ronnie said, it's very expensive. But if I can give any advice, it's really around finding a system that's going to suit your niche. Like if you are a functional studio, then booking is probably the most important part of it. For us, we build and integrate everything together so that the website integrates really well with the members portal so that they can book classes. They use the same login credentials to log into the app to access the clubs. Joining is a very seamless, frictionless process. It's 8 steps. Put in your details. It sets up your direct debit. All these things are really, really simple. I still see operators out there that are too scared, for example, to join online because they don't want to advertise their price. And I think that's just too old school. I mean, if you're hiding your price, it's a problem. Everyone's shopping online today. If they can see it, the price is there, they'll buy. If it's not, they'll move to the next, business and see what they can do. So, advice for me is, list your membership prices online. Have a very simple joining system which needs to integrate into your CRM. As Ronnie said, data entry, no good. We don't do any data entry. The member does everything themselves. From credit cards to changing their address, changing their emails, to anything. They do it all themselves. And have a system which, the Plus network, for example, doesn't even have this, which we acquired, and they have 200 locations where members can make changes to their profile themselves. They don't need to ring up. They don't need to visit the club. So this saves on staffing costs and also keeps the data more accurate. So, yeah, so you need to sort of pick a package that suits your type of business. So as I said, if it needs more bookings, if it's just a straight big box so that they can manage their system. For us, it's very streamlined across the brands. So whether you switch brands, you just turn off one brand and turn on another brand and everything fits in, the member portal changes the look and feel to the other brand. The app changes to allow you access to the new clubs that you're allowed to, removes the old clubs, all frictionless. And that's what you've got to use technology for, to make it really simple, not have members switch between brands and come in and pick up new access passes and cancel one membership and rejoin the other one and re-enter their debit details and things like that. So all inclusive is sort of what I call it.
Great. I think that makes sense to have everything very similar, so we retain our customers and even get referrals from them.
Yeah.
I have a question from the audience, which I think is relevant before we move into our other questions. So Tim mentioned, with the lockdown and COVID, has there been any analysis of member increase and sign up through online channels? And do you believe that this is now a viable platform to sign members up going forward, or would it revert back to club signups? So is there any obvious increase in signups through online channels? And what do you think about having, just online, hybrid, or focusing more on club signups? Maybe I can get Harry to share first.
Yeah, we do 100% of our signups online. So even if they come into the club, they'll pick up an iPad and do it from there. But generally, over 90% of our signups are done outside of club. So away from the traditional model, yeah, come in, we'll give you a tour, we'll show you around. Members shop online now. You know, they look at referrals online, they talk to their friends. Over 55% of our sign-ups are by member referral, so existing members being happy. And the fact that they can go online and join is massive. And that's why I talked about joining earlier. That process needs to be frictionless. Show your prices, allow them to join online, and if you can, like we have, download an app and visit the club. You don't need to work in the old school system where some of them are, you have to go into the club, or you can join online, but then you need to visit during staffed hours to pick up your access pass. You know, all these are friction points which sort of turn people off. We just need to make it frictionless in the industry, which is what we're focusing on.
Do you share the same sentiments, Ronnie?
Yeah, I think actually Harry has really nailed that on the head. You know, I think we have to see it from the consumer's perspective, right? Now, I think in the old days where prices are very, very non-transparent, and then people need using a lot of sales tactic and techniques to get them into the club and trial and all that. So I think number one, online purchase is always going to be easy, because I think the right is always going to give it back to the consumer. They have the right to choose whether they want to purchase or not. Okay. What I foresee will be the combination of both, because sometimes you're bound to have walk-ins. Sometimes you're bound to have people want to come into the club, and I want to see the facility before I want to make a decision, rather than just see it online and purchasing it. Okay. So I think online sales will be just a complementary. But what makes online really amazing, and this is one of the things that I have seen and heard from Planet Fitness from the US. They are 100% online purchase. Okay, and what you can do is, for example, you have like a Boxing Day sales or whatnot. You can create a promotional code. You get a 24-hour sales, and then everybody can go in there and do it. Now, you can't really do that if your club is open only till 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. in the evening. So online serve a purpose that you can purchase anywhere, anytime, whenever you wanted to, right? So I see, both online and at club have these benefits. Okay, I think the operator should consider both options, the availability. But the most important thing is your pricing difference of that. Has to be the same. Okay, because you can't have say I do online is cheaper or vice versa. Because you just want to keep the transparency to be open. Because if me as a consumer, I always want to make sure I tried it, I want to see it, I want to make sure that this is what I like, then I make a decision. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess the two options will give me a better way to make that decision. But you've seen many of the operators now, whether it's in Europe, like Pure Gym, Basic Fix, they're some of the biggest operators. They all move 100% online. And then the employees are just focusing really about educating on the club. You want to buy it? Hey, just go on your phone and purchase everything on there. You make it very, very friendly to purchase a membership. I think that's become very, very critical.
Perfect. Thank you, Ronnie and Harry. Great questions. So keep the questions coming. We'll pick them up through the conversation. So now I would like to, segue next to the next question, which is, where do you think data and technology will play the biggest role in further transforming our industry in 2021? Would it be, retention, experience, sales, or strategy? So where do you see tech and data play the biggest role in transforming our industry? I would like to ask Mike to kick us off.
I think the easy answer is all of them. In terms of technology strategy, I really think that all of those areas are going to kind of move ahead. But if you look at the strategy of a business, data or technology doesn't work very well in silos. So you don't necessarily, as an operator, you don't want a very slick marketing, as Harry just referenced, you have a slick marketing and sales or sign-up process. Then for a member to get into a club and find that the access into the club becomes a manual process, or the onboarding suddenly becomes analog and paper and pen. So the idea really is you want to be consistent with your brand, and technology should thread through every part of that member journey. But I guess to answer the question, two key areas that I see changing that have already changed, but there's still a lot to come, will be firstly the experience in the club. Because when the bricks and mortar are now a unique selling point to the whole digital world, we want to make sure that delivering the best experience, and technology is one way to do that. So changing the experience in the club is one. And secondly, the way that operators will manage their relationship and interact with members outside of a club, I think is the other key area that, again, we've already seen this big transition. And it's really how you blend those two, the tech experience you provide in the club, but how you stay connected to members outside the club. That's the kind of key. And I guess ultimately what that's driving towards, that holy grail of retention. So again, the more we can understand the member, and we've talked about it already, the more we can understand members' behaviour and predict attrition and drive retention, that's ultimately going to be the biggest
Perfect.
ROI.
Thanks, Mike. So Hugo, do you agree with Mike on holy grail is retention?
Well, I think every business owner would, but also on the other things that Mike's been saying around technology driving the experience, because I think in the end that's what's driving retention, right? If you have a product that keeps appealing to your customer, then they won't churn. So, and I've said often that I think the product of fitness often is broken in a way that it's just not appealing enough to the customers. I think historically the fitness industry has been able to sell our product very well based on external motivation, losing weight, looking better, getting fit. But the intrinsic experience of working out has been, I think, very disappointing for the majority of people. There's a very small part of people going to the traditional gym, really enjoying that activity. And I think that needs fixing. And I think technology is the perfect medium to do so, because it allows us to not only tailor experiences, so really understand who the user is, profile the user, and then tailor the offering around that, as well as making the exercise experience itself more appealing and fun through gamification, through tracking progress, etc. And I think we're only at the start of where this can be going. So I think it's a great time for our industry. It's also great to see that where we came from had just this box with machines at a traditional gym to where we are today with these very appealing small group fitness boutique type of experiences driven by great experience and also supported by technology. We've come a great way compared to where we are, but I think where it's going to be, I think it's gonna, in the next 10 years, it's gonna happen so much in this space that gets me super excited.
Perfect. I would like to add on when you mentioned gamification. I believe that, this fitness industry, we learn a lot and get inspirations from other industries as well. So I just want to pick your brain on, what else can the fitness industry learn from other industries in developing intelligence and adopting new cutting edge tech? Hugo.
Oh, that's also my, well, I think as mentioned, traditionally the fitness industry has been behind. I think it's because, and that was actually the reason why we started our company 12 years ago, that we saw it's so analog, that whole experience. If you compare it to other industries, we're already adapting technology way beyond what the fitness industry was doing. So I think traditionally the fitness industry was behind, and I think that's because people in the fitness industry they tend to be, and I'm kind of generalizing here a bit, but in general I've always been people, not so tech savvy, so to say. They don't want to climb behind a computer. I think luckily over the years computer technology has kind of evolved in a way that even fitness people kind of enjoy using it, so to say, with mobile apps, very user-friendly interfaces, etc. So there's been a great catch-up, and I think the whole Corona pandemic has sped this up even a couple of extra years. So I think that's great to see. But as said, it's been a catch up. But yeah, I think compared to where other industries are, there's still a way to go. There's so much to be learned from the data that's generated through apps. You can profile members very specifically. As said, the prediction model or the churn prediction model that we are releasing is an example of the powerful stuff you can do with data. And again, I think that's the beginning in terms of more tailored marketing offering. People who did this exercise also like this activity, etc. These recommendation stuff that companies like Amazon are using, but also automated tracking of activities. Right, the Amazon having these shops where you just walk in, grab your stuff, and it automatically checks out. Why don't we have this for fitness tracking? Right? Why don't you just walk into the gym and afterwards say, "Hey, it's great. You did so many sets of that, so many sets of that. Here are your points. Have a shake." I think the opportunities are endless. Yeah. In a way, it's exciting to see that there's lots of stuff to improve still with technology, and that will allow us to grow the industry even further and appeal to more people.
Perfect, Hugo. I would also want to get Ethan to share some comments here. I know Evolt is always looking at cutting edge tech and improving. So what are your comments on, how can we actually go into learning from other industries to develop intelligence and adopting new cutting edge tech?
Yeah, so a cutting edge is quite useless if you don't understand why you're using the blade in the first place. So I agree with Hugo very much so in that there's a lot of opportunity here, a lot of things of like Amazon and these other companies with their platforms of how they build it into to each stage of the life cycle. So on the previous question, building into where does it come into play, retention, marketing, strategy, sales, I think it's more about, the fitness industry learning exactly how, because I think most of the technology we implement kind of apply in all of these areas, maybe more strongly in one than the other, but then having a solid strategy in all of those areas as to where they plug in. So the tech needs to integrate organically into the training process and actually provide actionable intel, and whether that be on how this is being used in the sales cycle, then how does this transform into a tool to be used for increased engagement and retention, which is experienced, and then what is the strategy on the marketing side of how we can then draw in more members as well. So I think it's a well-rounded strategy on all those fronts is kind of the overarching thing everyone is saying, I think is on point.
Amazing. Thank you for the great summary as well. I think on the point of Amazon, I'm also interested in what are your thoughts on, this entry of large cap tech companies like Amazon and Google into the fitness industry, and what are the wider implications of this? So what are your thoughts on having large cap tech companies like Google, Amazon, entering the fitness industry, and what's the wider implications of this? Mike, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, sure. I think we've known the tech giants have been forging into health and fitness industry for some time, but I think we're really going to see it land over kind of the rest of this year. And I guess the timing has been really key, because at the time the gyms have closed, of course, all of our members are now consuming digital fitness, so it almost plays into their launches. If I was going to look at it from a positive perspective, and Chuck referenced this in his keynote introduction, if those companies with really wide reach and deep budgets manage to get more people in terms of their health awareness and behaviours, then that could be a good feeder to our industry. So from a public health perspective, I think it's a good thing for them to be playing. But ultimately, is it competition for our industry? The question, of course, is whether it's substitution or supplementation. So there are certain things, USPs, that bricks and mortar clubs have that it doesn't threaten at all. There are USPs that the digital space has as well. But if you're delivering in that digital space, the Apple one, I think, is the most interesting. Fitness Plus, they're going to offer a world's first personalized workout experience, world-class trainers, world-class programs, integrated wearables, less than $10 a month, including your families and friends. If you're in that digital space competing with a $2 trillion company, then yes, it's going to have implications. So as an industry, I don't think we can fight that, but you need to have that hybrid offer so that you can offer the best of offline and combine it with online and provide the solution. And that's, play on the strengths that we have as an industry.
Perfect. Yeah, I think it's great that we can all grow the pie together. Actually, penetration rates in the fitness and wellness industry in Asia Pac, I think it's still, there's a lot of room to improve. So I really agree with that. Harry, what are your thoughts on this, on the large cap tech companies?
I actually think it's great. I think, you won't be able to stop them. So you need to embrace it and ride the wave. And I think, when the industry understands that our whole business is an experience business, which is what the way we think about it, because we actually compete with zero-priced options. Why do members pay us to run on our treadmills when they can go for a run outside? Why do members pay us to join our spin class when they can ride their bike? They do it because of the experience. So while we can still continue to provide an experience to members, then we remain relevant. Now, online, I think will supplement that. I don't think someone's going to switch from 100% gym use to 100% online use. I think they may switch, reduce their gym use down to 80%, 70%, and use online to supplement that when they can't visit the gym. And that's the main thing. I mean, as long as we can provide experience, provide coaching, provide guidance one-on-one, then that's what's going to work. Think about another industry. Think about how when Apple started streaming music, did we stop going to music concerts? No, we go to music concerts because we want the experience. But we hear exact same music as we can stream on our phones in our own houses. But we go for the experience, and it's the same thing. We'll continue to go to health clubs because of the experience, as long as we maintain an appropriate experience.
That's a really good analogy, Harry. I think, sort of like comparing it to the music industry, I think a lot of us can relate. We all have different music genres that we would still want to experience, different kinds of concerts we want to go. So yeah, thank you for that insight. I would love to just wrap us all up here. We had a great discussion and time is already not our friend right now. But I would love to just get some final comments or any note of encouragement or your favorite business advice, and just to share with our audience before we just end the session. So maybe we'll get Mike to start us off 1 sentence, 2 sentences of closing remarks.
Yeah, I guess relevant to the tech and the data, the point is don't be scared of it. It's coming, it's going to transform our industry, and to mimic what Harry said, you really need to embrace the technology and work with other platform providers, work with the sector. And
awesome, positive, not a threat. How about Hugo?
It is a positive, not a threat.
Yeah, so I think having founded now a tech scale-up company, having lots of hardships along the way and challenges, I think for many business owners now in current times have been super challenging. So I love a quote from Bob Parson, founder of GoDaddy, who says, like, whenever you kind of feel downwards, you're closer to your success than ever. So I think that's a good kind of positive motivational quote to realize that just keep hanging on, keep believing in what you're doing. And if you keep doing that with passion, you will reach success. So.
Amazing. Thank you so much. The only way is up. All right, Harry.
Yeah, just quickly, I think there's never been a better time to be in the fitness industry. I think the COVID pandemic will end, but the desire to be fit, healthy, strong of mind and strong physically will never end.
Wow. Yes, indeed. We want to be strong holistically. All right, Ronnie.
Okay. Yeah. So I think all 4 gentlemen have been say everything that what I'm going to say put together. I think from the experience in China here is that what we have went through this year is definitely a challenging year. But it also strengthened us, with our team, with the way how we think about business, make us more smarter how to engage the business better, and make us innovate. I think now, tough times don't last, tough people do, right? So I think, you just gotta have the faith in about your back to the basic of great service to your customer, making sure treat your employee fairly, and then just continue to provide the best member experience. And then once everything go over, you're gonna come back, bounce back much stronger. And we have seen a lot of that in China. A lot of business this year after the COVID have been outperformed, their previous, performance. Orangetheory have definitely showcased that. We have done the best performance the last 2 months ever that we have. So have faith and just continue to give the best experience.
That's really very powerful. Thanks, Ronnie. So we want to follow in your footsteps. Let's bounce back. Strong people last. Tough situations don't. All right. Last but not least, Ethan.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this all the way back because, like, all the challenges we face now, these conversations would be different in 5 or 10 years. So I wrote down a quote from Marcus Aurelius, and it says, "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it if you have to with the same weapons which today arm you against the present."
Wow. You have to type that in the chat. I think that's something we definitely have to look at. So thank you so much, gentlemen. I think time flies when we're having fun. I hope you guys had fun in this discussion as well. So audience, thank you so much for being here with us and all your amazing interaction and questions. So don't leave yet. We have networking and expo break now. So go and meet many people. Use the networking tab. That's really my favorite part of the platform. And then we have more amazing CEO interviews. We have an interview with Hugo coming up at 2:15. And we also have amazing sessions coming up like wellness and spa and company investment. So I would like to get the gentleman to give your biggest smile and say bye to our audience.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Jolin.
Bye, guys. Thank you.